Well, we're going to find out here as we're kicking off our first map here in this best of 3 series to determine who goes home and who stays within the tournament a little bit longer. It's going to be 100 Thieves on the CT side, TYLOO on the T side, and we'll see how things are going to break down for both these two teams. One thing I did want to mention, at least for TYLOO, is there's probably not much expectations on them from anyone. No. So I feel like you shouldn't really have any pressure come into this tournament. I mean, you obviously brought in a new player. You've only had him for a short amount of time. The communication really isn't there either. So I feel like with no pressure on you, you should be able to have some ridiculous games if you're able to channel that energy you need.
Yeah, they weren't even meant to be here. Vici beat them in the qualifiers, and well, because of that, they basically just got a free invite when visas didn't go too well already. It's going to be the opening couple of kills coming up, and this is just looking too easy. JKS, he's just starting off fantastically. 4 kills in the pistol round, exactly what we want to see from Justin Savage. And, you know, 1-0, and they didn't even look like they broke a sweat. And that's one of the real worries for me as well, going into Inferno. It's a pick from TYLOO. Mousesports, obviously one of the best teams in the world at the moment, but they showed them no respect, and they absolutely battered them. Like, it wasn't even close. The second map at least had some life in it, a good early start from TYLOO, but this one, they never really got going. And they picked it again. It means they start on that T side, and I don't know if we're going to see too much from them here just because of that. Like, the CT side is going to be strong from 100 Thieves. Inferno has been one of their better maps, at least statistically. And, yeah, TYLOO on the T side didn't really get to see much yesterday.
I mean, one thing we haven't even touched on is the fact that both these teams played day 1 and then had day 2 off.
Yep.
So, obviously, some chance to look things over, look what went right, or I guess mostly what went wrong for your team for both these two teams, and then work on it. And I think that's actually like a good little indicator of how they can do here, of what they've been able to change up in that last day alone. For TYLOO as well, like that's such a big advantage to be able to really be able to communicate. Like, obviously it's very hard to do within the team, but have that time to slow things down and actually say what you want to say and communicate those ideas, which is very hard to do in-game when obviously in the heat of the moment. So TYLOO, I don't want to count them out at all. I want to see some life within the team. Obviously, with just the Glocks in this round, you're not really expecting too much as they're bursting through straight in towards CT side. And Jacob, well, pulling his own JKS here, gets himself a triple. Grass Faction Azar come in as well. And 100 Thieves, well, they lose 1 person in 2 rounds.
Yeah, they're getting close to the amount of kills some of their players had in the whole of the
I didn't want to say it. It was low-hanging fruit, but you're definitely right.
But yeah, obviously we expect a different performance here today. We are going to get the purchase up now from TYLOO, and well, the real benefit for 100 Thieves into this round is they're going to obliterate TYLOO with utility. There's not a single Molotov on TYLOO's side, but in terms of rifles, they really do have the benefit. We expect to see a bit more aggression coming out onto Banana from the CT side, mainly because they need to, because they don't have the range weaponry to really fight off against what is the SG and AK combo.
Well, we're seeing a little bit of an early presence out of 100 Thieves. You saw Azar towards the B side to make sure there was no sort of rush coming through. Nice little flashbang out of Zeta to allow them to get in towards the B or the banana position. As an aid will come through. And 100 Thieves, again, like they're maintaining a lot of their utility early on. They're not going for any peaks. They're basically saying, TYLOO, come to us. Come fight us on our own turf. And we're going to be confident to battle you there. And obviously, when you're up against the SGs, that's something you're going to want to do for the most part. And look at that. Somebody gets around the corner, gets the first kill in the round. But the Molotov coming through does finish him off, so just a 1-for-1 trade here. Looks like they're going to start to transition over towards this A site, however, but there's still 3 players waiting, and Liaz, he's got a full belt of utility.
Yeah, unfortunately, as of right now, he's not really in the right position to use it. He's going to be facing off on that A site, and the issue with that is it seems like we're going to have a B rotation, and the only man remaining is Jacob, who, sure, he has one of the 2 rifles available to him, but he doesn't have any utility. He can't throw down a smoke. He can't have an incendiary to try and delay this push any further. And that's why we do see this earlier rotation out from Azza than I think we would have done if there was any utility left onto Jacob. Gratis Faction catches the man trying to wrap around Arch, and this is going to let the CTs know that this is a B play.
Here we go, push coming through. Jacob waiting to receive this one, gets the sprayed onto the first, gets the second as well. The third going to come over the top. Reeb is able to get that kill, and the transition towards Azar on second. He's got 6 seconds left, though, to try to get this bomb down, and honestly, 100 Thieves can just play time. Freeman's just trying to save his AK, and looks like he will be potentially successful in it, as it looks like Leah's going to come around the corner, and never mind, no chance to save it, dies after time, and 100 Thieves now up 3-0.
Yeah, that's always the most painful, especially when you have that extra loss bonus as well at the moment. So they're basically maximum already going into the next round. It does mean that, in all honesty, if they just buy a few pistols here, he has $600 plus the $3,400. He will have at least a bare minimum buy, but for this round, he can't actually afford to invest anything.
Let me ask you something. I was actually kind of expecting 100 Thieves to take banana control instead of playing towards the back of sight, like maybe like a little bit of no respect play out of them, something like that. Do you have any thoughts in particular on that? Were you as surprised as I was, or is it just them feeling the game out?
I thought with the SMGs they would, but to be honest, they were able to just waste so much time with the deep smoke and throwing down all of the nades. And clearly, I think they thought this was going to be an A play initially because they had 2 aggressive players on short, and then they rotated the majority back over onto A. So I guess it was more of just a read of the direction they thought the opposition would be going. But in all honesty, one of the things that we've realized about TYLOO in the past, and 100 Thieves will definitely know from playing them so many times, is their executions aren't normally very good. So if you don't give them those duels, if you don't give them the fights, chances are they're not going to be able to win in the execution. And we witnessed it towards the end of the round. Like, there's no way that there should have been 2 kills coming off the back of the FAMAS just sat in the corner. There needed to be hard clears, there needed to be utility, and that was something that TYLOO just didn't have in that round.
Right, and that leads me to something I remember hearing about TYLOO time and time again is their team, they've got great aim. Yeah. And that goes into your point, but as you're saying, like the executions aren't really there, so if you don't give them those aim battles like you're mentioning, then you really take away one of the strongest attributes to this team. And it looks like it will be barreling in towards this B side. No smoke in hand for them. They're just going to wait for the smoke to dissipate, and Gratisfaction's going to have a lot of company here in a few seconds, get some tag damage in. The Incendiary is being thrown as well, and JKS just sprays down 3 different players. Gratisfaction's there as well. And now Summers left alone against 4. And that will be 100 Thieves taking the 4th round straight.
Yeah, they made that impossible. Just using that extra bit of utility towards the end of the round. 2 incendiaries meant that there was nowhere for the TYLOO players to go. And, well, as we saw, it was very, very easy for JKS to clean it up without really any trouble at all. We do, however, now have a buyback onto TYLOO. They've got utility behind it as well, even picking up an extra SG to what we saw previously. Still yet to get an AWP onto Zeta, but when it comes to the T side of Inferno, you can kind of understand that. Maybe that's something to do with their strategy. Maybe pick the pace up a little bit. But again, we're going to see these similar deep smokes that we had previously. It will just hold the T's out for now. I wonder if they will come to the realization eventually the 100 Thieves actually aren't taking banana control at all. They're just sitting at the back and throwing down this smoke and basically just saying to TYLOO, we're just going to waste about 20 seconds of your time and not actually bother taking the control.
Even a lot of utility being used out of TYLOO early on with the grenades, looking for some early damage. Double incendiary thrown in here as well, and a triple. Wow, they're really using a lot of utility here to make sure to clear out any sort of aggressive play. It's pretty much going exactly with what you just said, not realizing 100 Thieves are not going for that early control, but Jacob actually peeks into them with a nice boost over the wall. He gets TYLOO their first kill, but they haven't committed towards the site, the utility. They still have 4 smokes left, however, so they easily could hit towards B if they want, and they force the rotation out of Gratisfaction here. And you even see, what was that, Freeman just waiting for an aggressive push in towards apartments. That's not really going to come because 100 Thieves are playing so passive.
Oh, Gratisfaction. He will find out information at a bare minimum, and with 35 seconds left on the clock, JKS doesn't have any utility. Gratisfaction's actually going back in the other direction, so maybe he didn't see anything there. JKS, well placed, but somebody, a fantastic entry, leaves this now in a tough spot as he's going to get aggressive and push further around the church, not realizing that there's actually nobody else here. I think they thought Gratisfaction had more information than he did and would have stuck around at least a little bit longer. Instead, this round is over. CT side, although their money's not in the worst of spots, they are going to have to save, make sure that extra weaponry is capped, and TYLOO, with a great entry from somebody, is actually going to get themselves the first round on the board.
And this goes exactly to something we were just talking about, right? Don't give TYLOO those aim battles. You know, 100 Thieves, their success from these first 4 rounds came from the passive play, except maybe the pistol round where they were holding, near car. Yeah. But then they go out and peek. Somebody takes Jacob's head off, and then they eventually get in towards that site with no more utility left for the 100 Thieves. So really well done, honestly, by TYLOO. I mean, I was a little bit concerned to see 3 Molotovs thrown into banana like that.
Well, 2 of them were in the same spot as well. So I think that was miscommunication. Again, that's something that I think is definitely going to happen within this TYLOO roster at the moment. As we've already mentioned, one of their players doesn't even speak the same language as the rest. So that's always going to be a tough situation to be in.
They're playing Counter-Strike on hard mode.
And I'm hoping that over time that is going to develop, well, obviously quite a bit, and we will see better results for them and for Zeta as an individual, because he is a very, very good AWPer, and I think a fantastic addition to this team. But for now, he's going to be left in a very, very difficult situation.
I kind of wonder what was the reason for him, because he was with MVP PK for such a long time, and then to make this kind of leap, you know, into a team that doesn't speak the language you speak, in a different, not necessarily totally different part of the world, and then going into a big event like this, like that's obviously like a big commitment, you know, out of a player to just ditch the entire region that you've known for so long to make that leap and try to potentially propel yourself forward.
Well, I think TYLOO are the only Asian team that have ever actually challenged at events. So I feel like it's an obvious move. Also, from what I know, they are basically the powerhouse of China. Like, they have a lot of finances backing them. They have a lot of good facilities as well, like analysts, coaches. So if you are an individual joining this team, like, there's a lot of good opportunities. This round, though, we're going to see them pick up the pace, flash in towards this mid position, and actually there's only 2 players here. One of them, of course, is Azza, already managing to find the opener. Liaz is going to be burning down, almost dies because of it. The smoke a little bit delayed, maybe expecting one to come in from his teammate instead. Azza managing to get back into the site, though, is going to get himself another opening pick. They're struggling to find this man, and now the full force of 100 Thieves have made their way in, but somebody again, he times it perfectly. He waits to try and find that second kill and leaves Liaz alone in this bomb site. He's going to be surrounded by Summer and leaves Gratisfaction. 1 versus 3, 2 players desperately low on health, but he's not going to risk the AWP.
I really like that actually at TYLOO. I mean, they played so slow. They played kind of very respectful of 100 Thieves for quite a few of these rounds, and like I said, picked up the pace. I liked the Molotov in as well, obviously into pit, but it actually just completely takes away Liaz's sight lines, and Azra's forced to take a position to try to like cover an angle for him. And then just wrap around the corner, and of course the patience out of somebody just to kind of hold his nerve there to make sure to win that round. So TYLOO, there is some fight in them. They get their second round on the board. We can see 100 Thieves really don't have much money. They have Liaz on 6K, yes. They have Gratisfaction with AWP. But to be honest, Gratisfaction hasn't gotten a kill with AWP, I think, so far. It's been, yeah, I don't think he's gotten one. I mean, he hasn't really had the opportunity, to be fair, but it hasn't been as impactful just yet.
Yeah, I think both times he was basically in the wrong position at the wrong time. So it's going to be the right call to just keep that in. They're going to invest into a few pistols as well and still have plenty of cash going into the next round. But that's a really good building round for TYLOO, especially the situation that they started in, losing that opening pick, even taking a long time to actually gather some control. There's just some good individual brilliance. And speaking of that, Gratisfaction looking to try and utilize this AWP early into the round, getting very aggressive on towards Banana. I think he actually hit a slight shot through the wall as well, even doing a little bit of extra damage, but definitely showing TYLOO that they need to still show some respect to 100 Thieves, even in rounds where there's only going to be majority pistols.
Especially since the last round was so clean for TYLOO. Try to stabilize that economy into these later rounds on the T side of Inferno. Still going to be banking 3 players over at the A side. You got Jake in there with the Deagle. You got Azur with the CZ. Of course, Liaz going to be holding over towards pit. Ooh, look at that. Just read my mind exactly where I was going to go. But still, TYLOO are going to be down a player. And they don't know necessarily where the op is, which we see now rotate back to the A side. I think 100 Thieves are putting their eggs in one basket here, hoping the hit comes in this direction. Which is going to be a tough time for JKS to hold if the push comes here.
Yeah, he's one of the most under-equipped players at the moment on the roster. After all the nades been thrown, we can see the rotation begin, and they are taking their time to get in here, and JKS, even with very little, has managed to at least slow them down a little bit, but it's more because it's a fake. They're going to double back around on towards this A site. A couple of players still here. Smoke going to go down to deny that Molotov that we saw in the previous round. They can't throw that in anymore, and Liaz hits a wonderful shot with the Deagle. This is starting to get worrying in the site. It's Azza who's dropped the bomb as well. More importantly, only 15 seconds left, and somebody... He should just save. There's nothing he can do here. He doesn't want to give this SG to the CT side. We saw Brolin previously show that that is a terrible idea. Don't allow this gun into your opposition's hands.
Forget give it to the CT side. Don't give it to JKS.
Yeah.
In particular, this man is just ridiculous. And yeah, there you go. So that's going to be JKS looking to lock things down on the B site. You know, to be fair, 100 Thieves, there was like minimal investment, right? There was like some pistols, yeah. There was a little bit of utility. Gratisfaction getting the early kill. Getting the tag on a Zeta, he had players already low as they transitioned to the A site, but of course Liaz, that Deeg shot from pit, even with smokes down, he can still make it work. And there you go, 100 Thieves, 5-2 now.
Yeah, that's a round that if you're on the TYLOO side, you really don't want to be throwing away when you've just started to build into this. Even now, we start to see a few pieces missing within their economy. Mainly just the Galil. Gratisfaction, I don't even know how he got away with that. He kills off Attacker, takes a little bit of damage in return, but again, we're seeing the aggressive style out of this AWPer, and I think that's where he's most scary on this map especially, is he can be anywhere at any time, and you have to be prepared for it. And as said, a lot of that's going to come down to the way you set up, the way you communicate, and that's one of the main vulnerabilities of TYLOO at the moment. So he's basically just trying to throw a spanner in the works every single round.
I mean, that's where you see the prolific rounds out of what your JWs, your Kenny S's, just rotating around the map, playing wherever they want to, and the team working around it like you've mentioned. With 4 players left alive, TYLOO looking take some boiler control. And again, look how passive 100 Thieves are being. They're keeping Azure tucked away inside. They're keeping Liaz in pit, of course. And you have Gratisfaction to watch the cross in towards middle. The smoke's going to be thrown in, though. Looks like they might try to continue on this route, try to overrun Gratisfaction. This is where they're successful before, right? In the round, one of the rounds they did win, they got aggressive more towards this A site. And Gratisfaction's able to get one, but Summer comes through, and Summer gets himself a second. Liaz. And he goes straight to the graveyard where he was holding. And there's still a chance here to TYLOO. Summer and Zeta left alive, but Jacob looking to take this round, taking 100 Thieves up to 6.
And it's at a man yet still to frag, but at least in a 1v3 situation, he doesn't really need anything from anybody else. It's all down to him at this point. Knowing that there's players around this arch side and, well, the bomb being covered off, timing, that's a little bit unlucky as well. And that's an extra AWP that's going to be picked up to hand back to Gratisfaction. So 6-2. T-side economy in a bit of a weird place, but I wouldn't be overly surprised if they do go for an investment here.
You know what's so frustrating, I think, for Zeta in particular is that, like, as an AWPer, especially T-side Inferno, you need that communication. You need that assistance from your teammates to, like, set you up for some kills, unless you're one of those AWPers who can just face yourself, right? And not being able to communicate necessarily with his team to set him up to perform with the AWP, I feel like it's going to be a really big detriment to them when it comes to a map like Inferno.
Well, I think the other issue is as well, 100 Thieves have been very good at basically getting that opening pick and then just falling back to the sides, which most of the time, as you said, unless you're getting pop flashed into angles, your AWPer is going to be kind of null and void until either someone peeks again, which, as said, the CT side aren't doing, or until you're in after plant positions, and neither of these scenarios are happening at the moment. So, yeah, it puts him in a horrible spot. We're going to see somewhat of a half buy. It's kind of a weird investment coming up. Some of the players have spent all the way down to $400, while others still have some remaining. They definitely could have got more on the board from this, but clearly feeling that they can do the work with the pistols and a couple of rifles and then still get a buy into the next round. I would suggest that this should be a play towards the apartments just because of the pistols that they have, or at least wrap around onto short control just so you can get into those closer angles a little bit better. And they do have at least that extra utility to get those smokes down. There goes the arch side smoke. Counter utility being expended by 100 Thieves. They're still leaving 2 players firmly dedicated into this B site, which is understandable. No real information yet as to where they're going to be going, but you can see this is looking like a split between short and the apartments.
I mean, they could potentially nade stack onto Liaz here. There you see thrown in, and Liaz is going to fall. There we go. Freeman able to get the kill off of that one. Azure still going to be alive in sight with Gratisfaction to help back him up. And Gratisfaction is taken down, and there we go. TYLOO with just the pistols taking his sight. 4 players left alive, and JKS and Jacob, the last 2 for 100 Thieves. They're going to have to save these, and I don't know what it was about that round, but Liaz has been playing pit every single round. The nades come in, and the nades do the work.
That's a really nice read from TYLOO. Like, it's something that I feel like we don't see enough in Counter-Strike, just setting up those nade stacks. We've seen a few come up over on Nuke now, where you can drop the nades from the silo straight into Mini, which is actually a really nice nade stack because you have players watching there quite often. But yeah, if you spotted a player every single round, just stack up those nades, get rid of him, and that makes the site take so much easier because a lot of the time the hold from 100 Thieves, other than Liaz, has been quite loose. You've had players wrapping around Arch, you've had basically Azure as a bit of a rotator role where he could be anywhere on the site, so they kind of knew what they were doing, and this also shows, again, just how deadly those plays, those faster plays onto the A site can be, because pistols don't become as much of a detriment as on other maps. Like if you go into a round on the T side of maybe Mirage, it's going to be fairly difficult. You have to hit some pretty sick shots. Whereas in this scenario, you're right in the face. It's much of a muchness what gun you have.
And now we see TYLOO back on the full buy here. We do have the SG. Somebody gets knifed by a teammate, it seems. Got a 70 HP, not ideal if you're a TYLOO fan or if you're somebody. Zeta's actually burning down to 42 health. An attacker down to 60. And without 100 Thieves seeing a single player, they've done about 150 points of damage.
Yeah, not the start that TYLOO were looking for. We are going to see that AWP missing in this round for the CT side, and they're going to go for what looks like the 4-1 gamble stack. It's because JKS has so much information. He's going to be peeking down Banana, basically just jump spotting. Doesn't really want to get into an open duel with any of the TYLOO players, but he just wants to make sure that, okay, for now, there's nothing there. I can throw down a smoke, throw down an incendiary if needed, and for now, we can keep the remaining players on the other side of the map without really too much risk, in all honesty. And there you go. He's spotted his player. He can back off, just take his time, not going to be making too much noise. You know that it will take a little bit of time for TYLOO to actually take that full control as well. And the one thing that JKS is always going to be good at is just holding onto the utility and making sure that it is basically implemented at the perfect moment. This man has a hell of a lot of experience within Counter-Strike.
Yes, he does. And you also have now Azur and Jacob to rotate to help out if needed. JKS still maintain the incendiary, and they do have a second out of Azur, but he's going to be rotating back towards the safe side, it seems. There was a very early smoke towards CT to try to pull a player from the A side over. And in the meantime, Freeman's trying to actually distract towards A to keep players here. So it's come down to these two defenders out of 100 Thieves on this B site as TYLOO slowly make their way forward. And slowly is the key word here. 15 seconds left to go on the clock. Molotov's being thrown in. JK's looking for the first shot. He connects as well into the second. He's got a little bit of support now coming in. He gets a third. He almost gets it done all by himself. 8 seconds left, and the bomb surely won't be planted as Freeman's trying to go for it. And Freeman will get one kill, but that'll be a parting gift for him, as it will be 100 Thieves taking their 7th round.
Yeah, he knows as well that he just has to hide to survive, doesn't want to give 100 Thieves an extra fight, but that is basically just a masterclass of how to play the B-side defense. So delay as long as possible, JKS finding out all the information, having all your utility still remaining into the latter stages of the round, and then just pop in some heads as they go through towards the end. You couldn't have really asked for much more from 100 Thieves and JKS in that round in particular. And now 7-3 up, looking fairly good on their CT side. Zeta still yet to get a kill, which is definitely going to be painful. He's actually opted to move away from the AWP, it seems, as he's now onto their M4 instead.
I think I ran a technical, by the way. Yeah, just go for a quick restart. I think Grav's faction might have frozen up or something like that. But yeah, that was, like you said, world-class hold out of JKS. And I just like the way, in general, 100 Thieves are playing, like the CT side Inferno. I love the early presence towards Banana to make sure they don't rush you. I like how they stack the A site constantly after that, leaving JKS to just delay as long as possible. I'm trying to think, what can TYLOO do to kind of counter this? And I don't really know how you kind of counter that CT kind of style out of 100 Thieves, unless you rush into the A site when they 3-man stack over towards B early on, which technically did work for them in one of the rounds they did win.
I think they need to get earlier Banana control, because it took them about a minute to finally have it, and then by that point, you know that the CT side already had so much information that, okay, they've been taking their time, we haven't seen anything over on the A site for quite a while, so it was a lot easier for them to make the read, whereas if TYLOO take it within the first 20 seconds of the round, okay, maybe avoid some of the initial utility, then it's a different story. And considering 100 Thieves haven't really challenged Banana, but they're not fighting for it. Sure, they're throwing the same nades that everybody throws. They're throwing those deep smokes down as well, but they haven't actually taken it. I don't really know why it's now taking still TYLOO so long to actually just gather up that control.
That's a really good point, actually, because if you do go early, 100 Thieves have to expend a lot more utility early on, and then you can't have JKS throw a Molotov in a smoke like that to delay you another 30, 40 seconds of time.
And then Azur still had an incendiary as well. I think if Jacob had rotated in, he had another one. Like, you shouldn't have that many grenades left with only 30 seconds left on the clock. It's just that either TYLOO are going barreling into a site, and it's normally A when they do that, or they're taking so long, and you can basically hear all of the footsteps. That's why JKS was saying so close. Like, you can go, okay, yep, they've just about taken Banana now. We still don't have to throw anything. They've shown nothing, so we can just wait and hold on to it. And a lot of that comes down to just how confident you are. Like, I think 100 Thieves going into this matchup going, okay, we've beaten this team a million times before, no matter what the iteration is. They were always very good at winning out. As said, in the past, it was the Asian minor. They were just fantastic in that. Of course, this time, they don't actually have to play it, but it's still one of the things that they go, okay, we have TYLOO's number for years. Like, they're going to be confident going into this. This is even a weaker iteration than what they've had to play against previously. So I'm sure that's why you're seeing these basically delayed grenades, these confident plays, these peaks coming out of Gratisfaction where he basically will just go anywhere on the map and take a fight with the AWP. And it's helped by the fact that also Zeta, who is his counterpart, is having a horrible game. Yeah. So it's really easy when you're the AWP to go, okay, the chance of my counter-AWP killing me are 0, so I can just go and push anywhere, and, well, someone has to hit a tasty headshot if I'm going to go down.
And one thing that I kind of don't like, I guess we're seeing out of TYLOO, is depending on the individual aim to open up these rounds. You know, depending on, like when they hit the A site and they did the double nade onto Liaz, yes, they got the kill off of that, that's great, but then you had to take down Gratisfaction with the Tech 9 long range, the Tech 9 versus the AWP. In that last round, if they did push into B through the Molotovs, they would have to hope to hit that very, very early shot to open things up, and then you're still playing at a detriment because you're very low in health in general for the retake out of 100 Thieves. This time we do see TYLOO, or sorry, 100 Thieves in particular, go for an early challenge over towards Banana. They pushed up, got an early kill. So 100 Thieves as well, changing some things up. If you guys were wondering why we did have that little bit delay, there was a slight crash for Gratisfaction, but he's back into the game. Ooh. We're ready to go. Another nade comes through, and I mean, Zeta's down to 50. Summer, I mean, oh, he's still on 90, that's fine, but the amount of chip damage they take, just trying to get any real estate around the map is insane.
And this is almost exactly the same. This is the issue. Like, now we see an exact same spot coming up for JKS. He has used a bit more utility this round, but he's again just going to be listing out for footsteps. In the meantime, with the smoke going down onto Archer, we'll retain 3 players onto this A site for now. And the other issue is that somebody's been their entry fragger, and he's been fairly prolific when they've actually managed to win rounds. So him being gone is going to be painful for the side. And while already taking so much damage from utility, I think we'll have to take a look maybe after this round at how that's actually been going. Push going to be coming in. They go for these nades once again, and it does work. Liaz is struggling in the pit. They are focusing on him. And another couple of entries. That will be a bomb plant for TYLOO.
Let's see how the retake can come in, though, for 100 Thieves. More importantly, how TYLOO can hold on to the site. They got 3 players left alive, but they're relatively low. They have a flashbang, and that's pretty much it. So JKS is going to look to swing in from behind. They do have 2 men in pit to help hold some of these angles. And that flashbang used out of 100 Thieves to allow JKS to push in. But actually, they're just going to save it here. Okay, it's not favoring or fancying their chances, even though, as we can see, like in terms of HP, there's a very realistic chance they could pull this off. I guess they're more content with just making sure to keep everyone alive and keep these weapons to next round, considering they don't have that much money to spend anyways.
Luckily for TYLOO, their bomb plant, I was going to say, means that they don't really need to leave the site. I think Freeman was low enough that he may have still died, but they planted deep, so it almost killed Gratisfaction. In fact, he went down to 2 HP. I think they might have thought that that was more of a default plant. He comes very close to dying, but nonetheless, they are going to keep those weapons alive, and only 2 players surviving for the T's.
So it seemed like TYLOO did a similar strategy of nading into pit, but Liaz tried to adapt by playing a little bit farther to the left-hand side. But even then, they saw a player inside of apartments waiting for him. So they were like perfectly predicting and trying to control the way Liaz is playing. And now Liaz needs to adapt maybe a little bit more because they've shown some weakness. 2 of the rounds, at least, that TYLOO have been able to take have been because of Liaz being picked off in pit and then them being able to clean up the rest of the kills in towards the site.
Here we go, though. They've taken that early banana control. This is what we wanted to see. Nice nades over the top. I'm a big fan of that skybox bounce of the HEs, and Attacker is going to take the brunt of it this time. The CT side, again, they will know that this initial control has been taken, but there you go, more utility just being expended to make it even more difficult for Banana just to be fully taken by TYLOO, and not wanting to obviously commit through because they don't know now whether or not there's going to be any CT players push that far forward. That's why they're going to have to use even more grenades. And again, we're sat 55 seconds gone on the clock, and there's not a single Molotov. So they're not going to be able to clear any of the positions. And this is the real benefit of what 100 Thieves have been doing, is they're forcing TYLOO to use so much of their utility early that when it comes to an actual execution onto the site, they don't really have anything anymore. They can't go for that same pit setup that they tried before. And in fact, Liaz has now moved. He's adapted. He's had enough of being dunked out of the round, so he's going to get a little bit more aggressive in his positions. And I'm getting a bit worried for TYLOO of how they're actually going to go for any sort of execution here, because they now have 1 smoke.
Let's see, Summer again wrapping around over towards Arches. I know there's going to be at least a player in pit. So we're about a player inside as well. And there's also one in towards Graveyard, and Gratisfaction on the M4 is able to get his kill. Lia's eventually going to fall, but again, kills being traded left and right. Now it's all down to somebody in a 1-on-2. Luckily for him, he has time. He's got the time to get the bomb down, reposition wherever he wants to. We can see both players on the 100 Thieves going to be coming in from CT spawn. And honestly, with the SG, I don't think you can count him out at all. If he continues to actually wrap around, there's a realistic chance. But the thing is, the bomb's not planted for him if he does that. He's going to have to stick towards the shorthand side, and 100 Thieves are eventually going to suss him out. Somebody's got to hit some crazy shots. No utility for 100 Thieves to help flush him out either. He gets the 1v1 duel up against Jacob. He backs away as well, playing this perfectly. The pick back up, kind of swing around with the flashbang at JKS. He's going to throw it in, tap the bomb as well, but somebody gets the kill. He gets the triple, and he gets TYLOO on the board yet again. 7-5 in favor of 100 Thieves.
He's been playing really well. Like, there's been a couple of rounds now where you could say he solely won it for them. Like the two kills that 100%. Came in when they were wrapping back around. And now we're actually going to see the pause called in again from 100 Thieves, because this has been the destruction of their economy. That's the real issue. Like, that round needed to be a little bit better from them, and just some pure individual brilliance that came out from somebody sits them with 5 rounds on the T side already, and almost a guaranteed 6th. Like, I don't think there could be much investment at all coming out from 100 Thieves. So a game that, okay, sure, there was a few saves coming in from 100 Thieves, but the rounds that they were losing, we got, okay, this is more them not wanting to go for a risky retake. That round wasn't really anything to do with that. That was a big play coming out from TYLOO's individuals, and now we sit in a position where they could legitimately come back in this half.
You talked about something in the last round about TYLOO's early utility usage that I wanted to point out on is the amount of Molotovs they use to get control of Banana to work their way up towards site. That means they don't have the Molotovs to use to actually clear out positions inside of the site, which I think is one of the reasons why they've been so unsuccessful with taking this B site. But we see now 5-man stack for 100 Thieves over towards A. And TYLOO noticing there's no Molotovs, no smokes, no nades being thrown in towards Banana. They're actually going to take the control without much utility usage themselves. And eventually they're going to find out, yeah, this site's going to be open if they do hit it.
Yeah, when does Azzy use his pop flash? That's the real question. Because this is one of those rounds where you wait, see if they're going to go for that execution, and then Azzy will pop flash them into mid, and basically either Summer kills absolutely everybody, or he takes 2 dinks to the head and they get themselves a rifle. So just going to be waiting patiently. You've also got your man Freeman up in the apartments as well. So if he peeks back around, you can see they're starting to watch this very angle. Unfortunately, I think they've waited a little bit too long to go for anything here. So this round is basically done. Maybe they can kill off Freeman. That's kind of their best hope, is to steal that rifle away. And he does actually get dinged up instantly by Gratisfaction. So I wonder if they might go hunting for that rifle rather than trying to go for anybody else.
They immediately turn as well, like sharks swarming. Draken's eventually able to get the kill and get the AK. Can he survive with it, though, is going to be my question now, as Leah's been spotted out. Azer's still tucked in CT spawn looking for a kill. Summer trying to push in through the underground. I think there's a potential chance for like 100 Thieves to get a couple of guns here, actually, to be fair, with the way that TYLOO are actually pushing into this. So another gun down. Azer looking to recover it. And it's Mac 10, but a gun nonetheless. And TYLOO will get their 6th.
Yeah, this is one of those rounds as well where it's not like TYLOO have so much money that they can really afford to just be throwing weapons into the wind. So I'm glad that they at least stopped at this point. It would have been nice to be able to remove that weapon from Jacob's hands, but it's not really something that you can risk. And now we are going to see that purchase back up. Gratisfaction is able to be dropped in AWP as well, thanks to that weapon save, which I don't know if they would have actually had the finances to at least get it with him and utility and Kevlar. So that is actually a big, big win for 100 Thieves. And the AWP's actually going to go back in on the other side as well. Zeta still just not having a great time playing for TYLOO at the moment. 1 kill to his name. Going to be spotting into middle, maybe expecting a little bit more aggression. And look at this early setup from the CT side. They're going to be boosting players in. They're going to have themselves just JKS on the other side of the map. But to be fair, with how the plays have been over the last few rounds, that's fine. Like, they haven't been going towards B. When they have, it's not been very successful.
And then JKS has been able to stall relatively well. Doesn't have a Molotov this time, though, unfortunately. By the extra needed seconds for the rotations to come through. Also, you don't see Liaz in pit anymore because the nade stacks that have constantly been there. Let's see, JKS can throw the smoke down. It's going to buy him a little bit of time. As you can see, TYLOO looking to potentially back away. I kind of like this. I feel like TYLOO have been able to get into a groove here, been able to feel out 100 Thieves quite well, and figure out the way that they are holding these sites. Comes through, has some decent damage to somebody. And Freeman will eventually fall. He's just trying to push up towards mid, trying to cause a distraction. Now JKS, he has to pull off something amazing here to hold on.
Only managing one, and although that still sets his team up decently for the retake, they haven't used much of their utility. It's still going to be that after plant position. Zeta on banana, there we go. Doubles up his kills after what has been a quiet game, but he can't quite finally as keeping that man advantage with the CT side for now. And you can see the temptation of Attacker to get that little bit more aggressive. He wants to clear this man from banana, and that's exactly what he does. Makes this retake that little bit tougher. Still a couple of smokes available, but Summer holds the angle, and it's going to be left all onto Gratisfaction. He does have a smoke available to him, so just going to throw it onto the bomb. Maybe trying to bait him out, but he does, and Attacker comes flying around the corner. A 7th round onto the board for TYLOO, evening things up. And what started off as a relatively good half for 100 Thieves has now slipped into TYLOO's favor.
The money's not going to be there for 100 Thieves, and it looks like TYLOO might come out at the end of this first half with that lead at 8-7. Gratisfaction going to be back on the op, though fortunately he's going to be Glass Cannon. And the thing is, TYLOO did play this map earlier in the tournament against Mouseboards, and they went 16-5. Well, 5-16, I guess is the correct way to say it. But obviously, a little bit of difference in the two teams they're up against, but they're definitely showing they've come together. Even with Zeta, like it's kind of funny is that it's 7-7, but Zeta only has 2 kills. Kind of imagine like if he was able to, you know, whatever problems that's going on within the team with him in particular. Obviously, time is a major factor of how little he's been in the team. I wonder actually if the scoreline could be quite different here. Attacker pushes in completely dry, gets himself a double, and there's gonna be one more player here. It's gonna be Azur. And he doesn't even have a chance. Attacker gets his 3rd kill of the round.
No doubt that they have that individual priority. That was Attacker just pushing individually on his own into the site. He's got 4 kills. He's wiped out nearly the whole team. He's going for Gratisfaction as well. He wants the ace. He's not going to be getting it. And now Gratisfaction has to get the ace to win the round. So these are the rounds that you can't really do anything against. As I said, we've seen multiple now individual plays which have been impressive, but there have been aspects of team play as well, which is not something we've always seen from TYLOO. Like the nade stacks have been interesting. We've seen them be able to take control and trade relatively effective. Jesus, English is hard, and because I have forgotten how to speak, let's just throw this off to a break. It's 8-7 to TYLOO.
passports, baby. Leave the rest in our troubled minds. Let us go down and left her, baby. Trying to figure out what we're after. We never
Welcome back, everyone, to the continuation of our first map of the first series of the day. The first series of 3. It's 100 Thieves up against TYLOO. And currently, TYLOO do have the lead at the end of the first half, going up 8-7 on that T side. But now they're swapping over to the CT side. And let's see what they can do here with, obviously, the new players that are coming into the team. 100 Thieves, and TYLOO, both fighting for their hopes to stay alive here in the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice.
Yeah, early in the pistol round, they've gone for themselves a 4-man stack into mid. It does mean that Summer's going to have a lot to do, but he peeks, finds that initial kill. Now, if he can get that smoke out in time and delay any sort of push, he could get some backup available. I do quite like this setup, actually. Go for a bit of a risk in the pistol round, but with him being so successful, it could now call for rotations. It's just going to be down to timing. Like we saw this previously with the T's able to overwhelm JKS when he was alone on the site with a similar strategy. I'm not sure I'm a fan of the fact that no one has rotated just yet. They're really gambled in on this stack, and because of that, Summer, basically, if he can get another kill or if he can at least do some damage, they're going to be in a decent spot for the retake, but they don't have any more utility, so I think people are going to be a little bit late. They are, however, going for a straight-up push all the way down into Banana. They're going to be in a hot flank very quick indeed.
Oh, Azur's going to be there, though. He takes Freeman's head off, and he also gets the information that there's more players coming. Luckily for TYLOO, though, they do have a kit, so time is going to be on their side for now. And Zeta gets a much-needed kill into Leah as his attacker wrapping in towards site. Looks for Azur, drops him as well. And Zeta gets himself a triple kill in this round. And there we go. TYLOO, off to the strong start they need on the CT side. They pick up the pistol round, and Zeta gets more kills in that round than he had the entire first half. But I love you, Zeta.
Doesn't sound like it, I'll be honest.
Hey, he plays professionally in Counter-Strike. His brother plays professionally in not so good of a game called Overwatch. But it's cool to see that there's brothers both playing professionally. How often do you see like brothers both, pro in a game?
There's one team that has twins playing on it together.
True. And there's also some teams with twins playing.
But then they call themselves, was it Jalapeno?
Jalapeno?
No, it's not jalapeno. It's Japolino. That's it.
Japolino.
And the picture is of a jalapeno.
That's the most scuffed spelling.
They've done it on purpose.
But
But it's like one of those Swedish mixed team names that you basically have for a long time. But it's so trolly, it tilts me hard. And I guess that's the point. But
when are we going to see the first family? Have 5 kids and they're all playing professionally on a team together?
Well, I guess if you have enough kids, maybe eventually that will happen.
Well, they all have to be good enough, and they all have to want to play, One day, that'd be sick. That'd be great to play. I'd cast that. It's like Family Feud, Counter-Strike version.
Yeah, and then if you have enough kids, they could also then join you as a co-caster, host, analyst.
A one-man squad like that. Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, early nade damage is going to catch out Jacob and a little bit of Gratisfaction as well. Again, we're going to see this deep play in towards that mid position from the CT side. Like both players in this crossfire, basically just looking to hide away and bait almost if the T's go in this direction. Heavy investment actually from 100 Thieves off the back of the bomb plant. So you got that SG onto JKS is exactly what you want to be seeing. And Jacob already going to be getting the opener. Zeta needs to at least get one here. Or just escape. He's actually managed to get away with that. I'm quite surprised that he wasn't finished off. But in the meantime, the T's have taken full control of this A site bomb. Going to be planted, and they can get into passive positions. They've retrieved a rifle as well into the hands of Gratisfaction. This retake now becomes almost an impossibility. Last time they were sat with at least even numbers and a decent chance. This time, I don't know how they're going to get back into the site. I almost feel like it has to be a save.
Yeah, and they're up against a team that has superior weaponry too. I mean, they got the range of the 3 rifles, and TYLOO just with the 2 SMGs. Summer's going to be sticking around, maybe looking for an exit frag. He does have a kit on him and head armor, so I would actually like to see him save it. 100 Thieves all going to leave in the same direction, so there we go. 100 Thieves able to strike back, able to get the buy-up round in round 2 of the second half. Now TYLOO's money is going to be hurting here, but they still have the chance. I mean, we've seen 100 Thieves win rounds with just Gratisfaction on the AWP with pistols to support. I mean, there's no AWP in the hands of TYLOO, but there's still that chance.
Yeah, well, we've spoken about their individual brilliance all the way through this match, and we've witnessed it today as well. Somebody's been playing very well indeed. You've had Attacker as well with a couple of big plays. So I wouldn't be overly surprised. And we know that with the pistols, they can definitely do the work. They're going to have majority SMGs, though, so I'm interested to see how they're actually going to counter the fact that they have such a disadvantage when it comes to the range. And at least initially, we're going to see a fair amount of aggression coming out from Freeman, but he's going to be forced to back off. He's tagged through the wall as well. Smart stuff from Gratisfaction, spotting that man early. Now, the CT side already with a further detriment to what they already had in this round.
Most ideal starts for TYLOO here. And unfortunately, they're not really stacked over towards this A side. They still have 2 players back towards B, as it looks like the hit will come in out of 100 Thieves there towards A. Freeman's in not too bad of a position though for this ump, to be honest. There's a chance to pick up one and potentially back away, maybe a second, or maybe none. Jacob picks him off and takes down the player towards short as well. And clean take here for 100 Thieves to take this A side and to get the bomb down. Not losing a single player just yet. And if you're TYLOO, I mean, if you're somebody, what, save the M4? Summer, full belt utility, maybe save this as well?
Yeah, I don't really know what they're hoping to achieve other than maybe some exit frags, but with the control that 100 Thieves already has onto short, I don't really know why they'd wrap through the library. There's not really a reason, unless they were looking to hunt down some of these weapons. Now, based off the fact that they did win the second round, their money in the next is going to be fairly ludicrous, so they could go on the hunt. They could go looking for some of these remaining players if they really wanted to. It's not like they're going to be in too much of a financial detriment if they do lose a weapon or two, but at the same time, it's going to be a bit more of an issue. I like this, stealing a little bit out of Dosier's book. And that might actually make a difference. I think Gratisfaction might be in a bit of trouble here.
That just has to be one of the worst feelings, to see that nade coming in and knowing that you're already like low enough HP that you're probably going to die to the bomb because of it. Just fate inevitably coming your way. But still, they get the round, all right? Tie things up at 9 apiece after losing the first half. You're going to be happy about that, and they're not going to upgrade into AWP for Gratisfaction, but they're going to keep the run and gun kind of tactic, 2 SGs for them. On the side for TYLOO is just somebody with the M4 and hope that he can hit a couple of really good shots they need to open things up. Maybe try to keep the economy in check out of 100 Thieves. They're actually looking to play a little bit quick here for the T side. It's going to be a big stack in towards middle, however. Are they going to expect this many players this close? It's just the USPs they have to contend with, however.
I like this crossfire. The issue is there's still opportunities for individual duels to be taken, so they didn't quite allow exactly what they wanted. And eventually, it's a very easy cleanup for 100 Thieves. And this is now where it becomes a little bit worrying for TYLOO. Sure, they're going to come back in with a buy in the next round, but the bigger issue is you've basically just given 100 Thieves a ludicrous bank. It's been 5 players surviving or likely to in this round. You had 4 in the last round, even with that HE heroics that was coming out from Summer. The thing is, like, he was hoping that there'd be 2 or 3 players in that corner that would take a chunk of damage, because just getting rid of one and then losing your own weapon wasn't really worth it. I like the attempt, of course. Yeah. There's a reason that there's a graffiti dedicated to that exact play on this map. But at the same time, didn't really make that much of a difference for 100 Thieves. And now they're going to have a flawless round once again, which that's a bit more of an issue for TYLOO. Like, you need to be doing a little bit more damage in these sort of rounds.
You know what disgusts me, though? Is the second you said Doja, in my head, I thought Doja owned medicine. If you don't know, Tom has a way with words when it comes to naming his weapons, and that one popped up directly into my head, so thank you for that.
I like how renowned Dossier is. The thing that you think of is a gun name that I created, which...
I mean, it's that or Sex God, and I need to focus on the game instead of thinking of other things right now.
Oh, I miss Dossier. I miss him. Oh, I want him back in another team. I'd love him to be a coach, more just for morale purposes, because I know if I was playing and I turned around and Dossier was there, I'd automatically... It's sort of like wanting to impress your dad at like a football game. I'd be like, oh, I got to play better. Dossier's here.
Jacob getting overrun by attacker there. Nice little hole. Gratisfaction, they're trying to punish them for picking up these weapons. Zeta going to come around the corner. Actually gets the perfect timing on him. Gets the kill with the CZ, gets a weapon for his troubles, but runs directly into Liaz thereafter. TYLOO going to be at least able to equalize things at 3 apiece, but they still have a disadvantage in terms of weaponry. And Freeman, he knows there's guns there. He knows he could potentially have one of those. But does he know that all 3 players wrap towards CT side?
Wrap dropping round now. There's a decent chance, but what a shot from Liaz. Only on 13 HP, just rips the head clear off the one man that really could have caused them any troubles. Sure, somebody does still have the rifle, but Summer isn't going to expect JKS to be this close. Now somebody left all on his own is going to meet exactly the same fate. So good resurgence from 100 Thieves to at least keep things safe. Interestingly, that last round, TYLOO could have actually bought. So that was a round where they could have kept at least rifles in play. Like most players were over $4,000 when it came into the round, but they decided it was better for them to come in with this purchase. So this is one of those rounds where you've now saved for, I think it was like 3 rounds, because you had the force buy that didn't work, then you had a bit more of an eco, and then you had that round which could have been a buy. So if this now doesn't work, then you've basically waited all this time to get a buy which failed. So fingers crossed for TYLOO. If you are a fan, things are going to work a little bit better. That's not the start they were looking for, however. They look to try and take some banana control and then met with Liaz. They have still somewhat managed to gain that control, however. It's going to be the AWP player of Zeta who's going to be left all on his own, which kind of makes sense. Let him be a lone wolf while the rest of the team play together. Attacker, however, is already gone within the site. Freeman left to try and defend it on his own. He's left in the open. He still manages a kill, but doesn't last very long at all. The rotator going to be caught off, and Zeta basically just has to try and save.
Unfortunate times for TYLOO here. It's not even necessarily 100 Thieves executing well into sites. It's just 100 Thieves swarming over sites and just out-aiming their opponents. Zeta, I don't know how he's going to save onto this. Gets the first kill. You know exactly where's going to be the flank coming in out of Grass Factions. That's going to continue to push, looking for the kill into Azure, which is not unfortunately able to get. And 100 Thieves continuing their streak here on this T side. I believe that's, what, 4 straight? Or is it 5 straight?
It's 5.
5 straight,
yeah.
okay.
So they really are just starting to build into things here. It has been decent starts for them on either side of the map, and then it was a comeback towards the end. I think it was actually, I think it was 5 rounds in a row from TYLOO that made this half at least a little bit more competitive. But 100 Thieves on the T side have just been running riot over them. And as said, that last round was something they saved up for a long, long time. And it didn't work out at all. Their fight for Banana basically failed. And then because of that, we just saw a switch up in pace from 100 Thieves. They went over to the A site and won pretty much every single individual duel, which that's basically what we set up for TYLOO. Is the one thing that they have as a team is that they have strong individual aim, and 100 Thieves are showing that, okay, yeah, we have depth, but we also have that as well. So at the moment, things are looking a little bit bleak. Some utility invested into for TYLOO, but you can see the difference in pace when it comes to taking banana control. 100 Thieves have already forced out a smoke with far more time left on the clock than we ever saw from TYLOO in the previous half. Freeman does still have a smoke, but unfortunately for them, he's on the other side of the map. He's actually going to throw that into middle. It makes absolutely no difference. Molotov forces somebody into action. He'll get a single kill, and now the site is comfortably under their control.
Okay. And the thing is that, like, when 100 Thieves take banana, they're not really using as much utility as TYLOO was to take it. And,
No.
and like you said, taking it much quicker.
Yeah, of course, this round, it's a little bit harsh to sort of really rail too much on TYLOO because they didn't have much to begin with. But you look at the last round where they wanted to really try and battle for banana, and it was fairly simplistic for Liaz to just get an opening pick, which I don't think we really saw that much at all in the previous half. Like, okay, you could say that round where we did see some aggression coming out. I think it was Jacob peeking even just a little bit into banana. That was one of the opening picks, and that was one of the first rounds we actually saw go the way of TYLOO on the other half. But we are seeing the differences that come in with 100 Thieves, just able to gain map control a little bit easier than their Asian counterparts. And now we are going to have another tactical pause called up for TYLOO. So they have a buy here. They are going to allow themselves to get a decent purchase. Zeta can afford an AWP. They'll have full rifles across the board. However, a big bank at this point for 100 Thieves. The majority of players over $10,000. Some even closing in on max cash.
So I don't want to count TYLOO necessarily out when it comes to this map, but I want to focus on like the grand scheme of things, right? Take a step back. Vertigo is the next map. It's picked by 100 Thieves, as we were talking about in the vetoes you were mentioning. You know, they obviously could have went with Mirage, but this route, they knew that TYLOO wanted to probably pick Mirage later on, so they can pick a map that they wanted to play themselves. They've only played it twice for 100 Thieves, I believe it was, or TYLOO twice. So together, they played it 3 times in official matches. I'll just say that. That's a little bit easier for me than having to look at another screen. But obviously, if 100 Thieves are going to pick this map, they're going to be prepared for it, right? So now I'm a little bit worried when it comes to the series in general for TYLOO, is that they can't come back here on Inferno. what do they have planned for Vertigo?
Yeah, I think that's obviously only this year, which we haven't really seen much from 100 Thieves at all. So they have picked it previously a little bit more. Like they played it versus Heroic and One, who are a decent team on that map. They played it versus Furia as well, who again are actually one of the initial teams that picked up Vertigo. So they've beaten some of the, I don't want to say top tier, but like tier 2 teams on it. So they're not going to be bad. Whereas you look at sort of the other side of the coin, and there's not really been a whole lot for TYLOO when it comes to this map in general. It's only really been domestic matchups. They played it once, and it was an overtime victory versus Vici, which is obviously going to be a bit of a tougher task when you face off against 100 Thieves. So I think they need to focus on trying to take this map away, because I think they're going to struggle on Vertigo. But even still, they're still in this map at the moment. Some are going to be boosted up. There isn't actually a smoke down, which is interesting. They opt to try and actually wrap around and take this control instead. Ata with a double opener. He now steps up as well, leaving 3 players to try and rotate in. Liaz catches one more, and the thing is, most of these kills that are coming in at the moment for 100 Thieves, there wasn't really an opportunity for TYLOO to trade any of them. They were all peaks that came in on their own. There was no real flashbang utility used. Like you could see Zeta, 2 flashbangs, an HE, attacker, a flashbang as well. Like there should have been something to pop them in to at least try and face some of these angles, but instead, running around corners, handing frags away to 100 Thieves, and again, it's a great position for them. They are going to build up even more money, not that they need it, and they're actually going to start looking to clear out some of these weapons. And you can understand why. Even one gun going down here in response, they could even lose all players on 100 Thieves, and they'll be fine.
Or lose all players on TYLOO, which it turned out to be. I actually really like that play at 100 Thieves. They smoke off like the little like step in towards B site, and they just push CT spawn with 3. So they actually just overrun the CT side. Then they wrap around into construction or whatever you want to call it, coffins. And then they have like a push onto site from multiple angles. I actually really like that idea. And now 14-9 in favor of 100 Thieves. TYLOO, again, back on the save, unfortunately. Have invested head armor and some pistols, even an SMG for Summer. But with the way it's been going, I mean, they've only taken 1 round so far on the CT side. They've not really been able to win out on a lot of these aim battles. We haven't really seen any like pop flash peeks into Banana, a little bit delayed as well to look for some early kills. They're kind of just getting out aimed at the moment, and just kind of run and gun strategy here for 100 Thieves. I don't think they've really picked up the op for them on the T side either.
No, there's not really any point. Like, there's no reason to actually pick up an AWP when you are just running over your opposition. These faster paced rounds, this early map control that they've been able to take has been very, very easy for them. And in all honesty, I don't think there's any reason for them to make a change. Either way, Freeman, he's going to get challenged. Jacob with another opening pick. A little bit of damage coming in onto a couple of the players. An attacker trying to just lurk around the edge of the smoke that was thrown, but again, this is what 100 Thieves have just been doing to them throughout the match. Getting that early pick, slowing down a little bit, grouping up, and then just making sure that they trade effectively. And most of the time, they're getting multi-frag rounds fairly easily. Again, another kill comes in for Jacob, slightly stolen away from Gratisfaction, but I'm sure he's not going to care. And that was just decimation.
I just love how Azure just throws a bomb. He's like, all right, I'm out. I want kills. I'm hunting. One of you plant it. It's like every matchmaking game where people drop the bomb and spawn because they don't want to go plant themselves. But there we go. Bomb to go down. Summer gonna play on the edge of the smoke there. Jacob just walks through. He's got one more player towards the left-hand side. He's got JKS to support him. And I don't think somebody's going to survive this either. And there we go. 15 rounds now for 100 Thieves. Taking so many rounds straight here on this T side. I believe that's up to 8, if I can do math correctly. Tom's giving me the nod. Okay, can confirm. And now TYLOO go into potentially the last round of this first map. I was really expecting you to like screw me over and be like, no, Jason, it wasn't 8, but I'm just gonna tell you it was.
Well, 15-9. I also something to mention in terms of the anti-ecos that TYLOO have been throwing in. Every single player in that round was an individual fight, which when you have pistols, when you have a detrimental purchase, you can't do. Like, you need to have those stacks that we saw to middle coming out from 100 Thieves in the previous half. Like, there needs to be a little bit more synergy. As said, that's something we expect to come later on in the lifeline of this TYLOO side. But for now, it's definitely showing the vulnerabilities that are there. And even the rounds they've won, a lot of the time it's been off somebody picking up some kills.
That was interesting, actually, because they tried to pop flash him out, Summer out, but the counter Molotov came in at 100 Thieves as well to stop him from pushing, so they kind of waste out some utility because the smoke was thrown, actually the Molotov was thrown out of TYLOO. kind of separate them. Nice little counter comes in for the Thieves. Minute left to go here on this round. And not much utility left for TYLOO. To be fair, not much utility left for both teams, though. 100 Thieves do have the 3 smokes and a Molotov themselves. Jacob not going to expect Freeman to be there, but he still gets 1 kill either way.
That's got to be infuriating for Attacker, knowing that your teammate was in that corner. They faked things out over to A. It was Jacob just trying to hold players in that position as the smokes now fall on towards this B site. Summer is going to be up above. He gets 2, though. That's not a bad trade. And somebody just needs to pick up a single frag to give his team the chance. But Liaz, a double headshot in, gives them the opportunity to get that bomb down. The smoke doesn't really give anything for Zet. They've got to be careful as it has now faded. Both players falling in from the same position. Freeman still with almost a full belt of utility as well, so there is a possibility that they can clear out at least one of these angles, and the Molotov into the corner will force Liaz out, but he's going to force the issue. 3 kills for him in the round. Map going to be done and dusted, and 100 Thieves, they take this not in the easiest of fashion, but at least on the T side, they absolutely dominated.
Well, you know what? I think they need a break. I think we need a break. And you guys need a break to go use the bathroom, get some food. And when we come back, we'll be getting underway here with our second map of the series.